What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be doing the full review of one of the most interesting and certainly one of the most popular handguns that came out last year.
You did get it.
Woo! I like this. We've had this gun now for a couple of months, 5-6 months. We got this originally from Smith Wesson, but that won't change our opinion, and that won't change the performance of the gun that we show you. The M&P 5.7 is a very interesting design. It is not kind of the same thing that you get every single day, a remake of a remake of a remake of a remake, the same striker-fired pistol and 9mm over and over again. The M&P 5.7 is a 22-round capacity gas-operated internal hammer design that lends a lot of features and interesting performance to this gun that you won't get from some of its competitors. Smith Wesson has been a big name in the firearm industry for a very, very long time, and for good reason. They don't always do the same thing everybody else does, and in this case, they didn't again. If you're interested in 5.7, this is a good place to start in my personal opinion. Let's go over some of the features first, and then we'll talk about how the gun performed in our full review. Before we do that though, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. You guys purchased the ammo for this review and I really appreciate it. We try to give you the most honest gun content possible, and the industry doesn't always love us for that, so we're supported by you guys and we really appreciate it. If you want to join up, all you got to do is go to the link in the description below and sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS, it's a youth shelter. Those kids could really use your help, so please go down to the description. All you have to do is click that link. It'll bring you right to the donate page and you can help those kids. And finally, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Bullet Safe. Bullet Safe makes bulletproof vests and inserts for backpacks and briefcases that are made right here in the USA. Bullet Safe products are NIJ Level 3A tested, certified, tested, and offer protection for rounds up to 44 Magnum. They are lightweight, easy to conceal, discreet, and even affordable. In this day and age, it just makes sense to have this to protect your family. Bullet Safe makes it easy and affordable to do just that. Use code OUTLAW10 for 10% off your order. Now, the Smith & Wesson M&P 5.7 comes with a 5-inch threaded barrel. It has an optics mounting system right out of the box that direct accepts the shield RMS pattern. Basically, everybody's probably going to be running the 507K or one of these hollow sun microdots since they're pretty badass, and they do direct mount right to the slide. As you can see there, it's very slim as well. The whole gun is slim, and that's why it takes the smaller optics. It allows the whole platform to be very thin and very carryable. Even though it's a full-size pistol, it's one of the most carry-friendly pistols I've seen that's a full size. Part of that is because of the width, and part of that is because of the weight. The weight on this is only 26 ounces, making it a 22-round capacity 5.7 that's the same or less weight than your Glock 19. You get an inch of barrel on the Glock 19, and you get about 7 extra rounds, which is pretty nice when you consider the recoil and the performance and the accuracy, which we'll get into here in a bit. The slide serrations work very well, and the top is cut out, so can you get debris in there? Possibly, but I haven't had that issue. Now, the fish scale serrations that are present on most M&Ps are still useful on this. As you can see here, we can do the pinch method if we want. We can pull the slide from the back if we want, all without engaging the optic at all, which is very nice. White dot steel sights on there with a serrated back, so you don't have to worry about any glare. Very high quality and very durable sights. The models come with a safety or without, so if you want one, you can have one. If you don't, you don't need one. Even if you get a gun that has one, you can take it off and you can put these little spacers here if you want. Ambi controls on all of the guns, so you have an ambi slide release, which is nice. You have the trigger is very nice, and the magazine release is swappable. Mine came with two 22-round magazines, giving you 22+1, which is an excellent capacity for the size to weight to width ratio. It has a flat face trigger with a trigger safety and a pretty good undercut that didn't feel bad at all when I was actually shooting it. Pretty decent texture, not the M&P 2.0 texture though. It's a little bit lighter because it doesn't need to be so aggressive, because this gun has absolutely no recoil, partly because of the 5.7, but partly because of the unique action that it actually runs. This gun, as I said before, is internally hammer fired and gas operated. It has a lock breech tempo barrel system in it, so it works a little bit differently than the standard system, and it allows you a lot less recoil. When we initially shot this, I thought it was just kind of the 5.7, since the 5.7 caliber is kind of a mini rifle round, and it gives you similar ballistics and performance to a 22 mag, arguably, and that is a little bit less recoil than 9. However, put in this new system, that 5.7 has even less recoil. There's just no recoil at all. It's very, very smooth, and this is one of the biggest guns I would recommend for people with wrist injuries, arthritis, older people, younger, smaller statured people. This is gonna be fantastic for you. Very low recoil, super fast, repeat shots, and you're gonna have a lot of fun when you're shooting this because of that design. Now let's get into the performance of the gun a little bit. We did shoot 1,000 rounds of 5.7 through this, and yes, that was expensive. However, if you're gonna test a gun, you better actually test it, and we try to do the best we possibly can with what we have. Not only did I shoot this, but some of my friends and even my wife shot this, and she can tell you that this is one of the most favorite guns that she's shot on the channel yet.
This is so fun. I am so in love with this.
I told you it had very light recoil.
Maybe more than you.
That's rude. The reliability was as I expected with the M&P name on the side of it. M&P is one of the most reliable platforms of pistols that came out. I think of a Glock, M&P, CZ, I think of very reliable guns, and this is no exception. We used Fiocchi, American Eagle, and I believe we used FN ammunition through this, that blue tip hollow point stuff, and all of that functioned really, really well. Now the downside to 5.7 is that it doesn't have quite the kinetic energy of heavier rounds. It's a very light grain round moving relatively quickly. Kind of think 223 versus like 308. Now the downside to the 5.7 is going to be the price. You're coming in at about $1 a round, give or take, sometimes 50 cents a round depending on where you find it, but it's not going to be cheap. It's always going to be about double what a 9mm is, and that's just something you're going to have to deal with if you want to get into the 5.7 game. Now, not only do you get low recoil with the 5.7 in the M&P, but you also get pretty extreme accuracy.
Well, hey, look at me just being a rock star.
The flat face trigger is fast and very accurate. Now I'll show you the brake here. So you can see the brake is very smooth and light. And the reset isn't bad either. Probably half the distance of the SIG Legion we shot the other day, and that's pretty impressive considering this is about half the price of that gun. And the notorious problems that the M&P line has had with their triggers has allowed pretty much everybody to go to Apex, whereas this is a gun that you won't have to change a trigger or anything like that because it's finally really good out of the box. A lot of the accuracy has to do with the trigger. A lot of it has to do with sort of the low recoil impulse, so people who are generally recoil shy or grip the gun too much to hold on to the gun, because that's a lot of times what people do when they miss. They over grip their right hand and they squeeze that gun down. It's an anticipation of recoil. A lot of times those people won't do that with a gun like this because there's no recoil to anticipate. Now the best part about this gun, aside from the trigger, as far as the accuracy department goes, is going to be the integration of an optics mounting system that goes flat right on the gun. I like that a lot. You don't have to use a plate or anything like that. Now they do make adapter plates if you want to use a bigger optic. However, this hollow sun worked very well for me, and it feels very slick and smooth against my body when I carry this gun, and for that I think this works really well. It also happens to be very durable, so I think it's kind of a match made in heaven, to be honest with you. I'm pretty happy with not only the gun's performance but the optics performance, and we will be doing a full review of the optic here shortly because I do actually have this on a couple other guns. We were able to hit shots pretty consistently at 50, 75, and even 100 yards with this gun. Not only is the gun accurate, but 5.7 is pretty accurate as long as you don't have too much wind. Now that's the upside to 5.7s. It's moving very fast, it's a light round, so it shoots very flat, and it doesn't have too much arc in its trajectory as it goes to the target.
Got it.
I'm having a hard time hearing that.
I know, it's really quiet, but you got both of them. Got that. Good.
That's 5 for 5 at 100 yards.
Yep.
That being said, since it is such a light round, it does get pushed around by wind a lot. And in Iowa, we do actually have a lot of wind. I don't experience a whole lot of wind issues with 9mm, believe it or not, out to 100 yards, just simply because of the nature of the round. However, with 5.7, we were experiencing a lot of deviation left to right when it came to wind. So if you're into long range shooting with a handgun, maybe that's something you're gonna have to consider. That being said, it is still very flat, so you don't have to adjust very much, and you can pretty much point on the target, point of impact, and right out to 100 yards, and you can pretty much slay with this thing at whatever distance you really want to. As far as performance, I think all the performance is pretty excellent, but for the MSRP of around $700 and your ability to get this gun for about $600, shit, I'm impressed. I gotta say, I like Smith as a company, but I like this gun a lot more than I thought I would. I mentioned that in the first shots, and I'll mention that now. I didn't have a super high opinion of 5.7 simply because the only thing I've ever shot is the FN 5.7 up until this, and then it kind of got me on a chain of the Ruger. I guess I shot the Ruger before this. The Ruger, this, and then the Palmetto State all actually impressed me. So I'm getting in more and more in the 5.7 game, but I still believe the M&P is probably the best out of those competitors. That being said, we are going to be doing versus videos so you can decide for yourself what's right for you and what isn't, because what always is right for me isn't always what's right for you. If you want to just see all 4 of them at the same time, let me know in the comment section below. Foursomes are always fun. Now, another thing I love about it is going to be the threaded barrel. With the system, I hear it's fairly suppressible, although we did not test that with the review. But I can tell you that the thread protector does come off every once in a while, so that's something you're going to have to be aware of. Now, as far as philosophy of use and what you're going to use this gun for, I think that this would be good for pretty much everything you need it to be good for. If you wanted a full-size carry gun, I think this is a good place to look. I think that if you're looking for a lightweight, big gun, this is a good way to go. If you're a tall, slender guy, let's say, or if you're just used to carrying a Glock 17 or something of that nature, this won't be that much difference. As a matter of fact, it's going to be thinner and a little bit lighter. However, it is long, so that's something you're going to have to be aware of, especially if you carry appendix, you get in a car, it might poke you in the dick. So watch out for that. The real philosophy of use that I see for this, though, is going to be like home defense and plinking on the range and just overall full-size handgun use. I'm not sure these will ever get into like duty use or military or anything like that, simply because of the nature of 5.7. However, for especially smaller statured shooters like my wife, or maybe some of my nephews, or some of the people we've had shoot on the channel, or especially elderly people like maybe my mom, for example, they could use this gun super effectively without worrying too much about the wrist or the knuckle pain or anything that you may experience when you shoot handguns. Especially if you're having trouble with 9mm, I would check out something like this. That being said, it does come with the caveat of being more expensive, the ammunition, not the gun. That being said, it does perform well, so if you're into that, it's certainly a good contender. Honestly, I think other than the price of ammo, there's not really a downside to this gun in my personal opinion. I think you're getting it from a quality manufacturer that has a pretty good customer service reputation. I think you're getting all the features you could ever really want on a handgun: a good trigger, an optic system, threaded barrel. You're getting full 5-inch, you're getting good velocity, and you're also getting 22+1 with these stainless mags that go in and out of the gun real well. Ambi, so if you're left-handed, no problem. There we go. Took 4, but scared him the first 3 times. It really fixes most of the issues that I see on modern handguns today, all except of course for the ammunition and the kinetic energy loss that you're going to experience between 5.7 and 9mm. But like I said, if you're in the market for a 5.7 and you're already good with those pros versus cons, this motherfucker you should look at. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.